Escape with us on a breathtaking train journey through the high Swiss Alps.
This is probably one of the best railways I've ever been on.
We'll travel on masterpieces of railway engineering.
Whoa, look at this.
Built over 100 years ago in some of the most challenging environments on Earth.
This spot is really a magical point.
We'll meet the people who live and work along this very special train line.
I probably have the best view here in front of the train.
This is my favorite place here, the Lago Bianco.
Before we reach the roof of Europe, Zermatt, gateway to the iconic Matterhorn.
I love this place, I love this view, I love to be here.
This is no ordinary railway journey. This is one of the most scenic train journeys in the world. A Swiss Alpine adventure. Our journey starts in the small town of Tirano in Italy. It's just 2 miles from the Swiss border, and Swiss Rail have been able to nip over here for over a century. And being in Italy, it's obviously a must to grab an espresso before boarding the train. Our first leg of the journey takes us from here to St Moritz, past remote stations, crossing the Bernina Pass, climbing to over 2,200 meters, making this the highest railway journey in Europe. It's then all change for the Glacier Express, a train that powers up through the Alps for 180 miles before finally arriving at Zermatt at the foot of the Great Matterhorn. The Bernina Express runs on a single-track narrow gauge. This 3,220 horsepower engine runs on electricity, an unexpected pleasure for its passengers.
It's beautifully and quiet and peaceful, and people can enjoy the environment without the noise disturbing them from the train, so yeah.
People travel from all over the world to make this stunning train journey. Like Frank from Australia, he has a close family connection to the area. Both his parents were born near Tirano.
I was only talking to some of my relatives, and they actually worked on this, on the Bernina railway line.
A couple of minutes into our journey, and we're in Switzerland.
Buongiorno.
Like most people in this country, Natalie, our train attendant, is multilingual.
Dankeschön.
Keeping her balance on a moving train is more of a challenge.
The most difficult thing is to stand in the middle of the train and not going this, like this and this. Yes.
To be able to climb Europe's tallest mountains, the Bernina line had to be a masterpiece of railway engineering. Just a few miles out of Tirano is a spectacular example of this ingenuity.
Here is the Brusio viaduct. You can see it here.
Like a snake, the train slowly curves around the 70-meter radius of the Brusio loop to gain 10 meters in height in just 2 minutes. John Caprez is a former physicist, but then in 1980, he fulfilled his childhood dream. He swapped his academic career for a life on the tracks to drive trains on this very line.
This is the Brusio viaduct. It is one of the best-known spots of the Bernina Railway. The Brusio Loop is a good example how the engineers worked within the landscape. They had a steep slope this side, a steep slope the other side, a small level field in the middle, and they had to make do in this small area to lay the track. The train goes from down here where I'm standing to up there on the viaduct within 200 or 300 meters. That's quite an altitude to cross. So this is the start of the loop. You cross under the arch, then turn around. All of this is in a 7% grade. The good idea they had in the summer of 1906 was this: make the line go back on itself in a full circle and continue down the valley.
It's thanks to John's love of this railway that it's now recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site.
I feel really proud that this railway is part of the World Heritage, and I think that it helps to keep it in its present form. It helps to draw people here to experience it too.
Our train has 35 miles to travel before we reach St Moritz. It'll take us to the journey's highest point.
The Lago Bianco is a really beautiful place, and it's really special here.
We're on the Bernina Express in Switzerland. Just 6 miles into our Alpine adventure to our halfway point, St Moritz, we enter the stunning Poschiavo Valley.
It's so special because I was here as a very young boy. I have a famous photo that in the wintertime when Lake Poschiavo was actually iced over. So I'm standing on the lake.
The lake is not only beautiful. The emerald waters are a source of renewable energy, providing hydroelectric power to the area and our train. Our journey is about to make a dramatic turn, upwards. It starts the extraordinary ascent into the Bernina mountain range via a series of dizzying S-bends. As the train climbs higher, the landscape starts to change dramatically. En route to the Bernina Pass, we are entering Alpine glacier territory.
I really love it to work here. This is so a magical place here. I just love it. Dear passengers, next stop Alp Grum. You have time to make some photos. Please be back in the train at 11:40. Thank you.
Greeting the passengers, as always, at Alp Grum is Primo. He has the perfect job. Since 2006, he's been managing this far-flung station, which is also a restaurant and hotel.
The people can have a coffee, also me and the train driver, and just enjoy the beautiful view here. Yes.
Bitsy.
As Natalie slips off for her well-earned coffee, Primo shows us around this rather special station.
Here we have our terrazza. You can eat here and you have the view on the Palu Glacier.
Alp Grum is a place so remote and high that it can only be reached by train. Or, if you're adventurous, by foot, but only in the summer.
Our life here is much better as somebody they live in a city.
We're still in the Italian-speaking region of Switzerland, so it's no surprise that Walter, Alp Grum's chef, has a famous signature pasta dish, pizzoccheri valtellinese.
It's like a pasta. We make it without eggs. Normally a pasta have eggs, and we make it only with water. And you see, it's not the first time he make it.
Unlike most pasta, this hearty dish uses buckwheat and is served with even more hearty proportions of garlic, potato, and cabbage.
All of these ingredients are local potatoes, local cabbage.
Boiling water in high altitudes requires a little bit of patience.
We are here very high, 2,091 meters, so it's not the normally boiled water. We need more time, about 5–10 minutes more.
There's a lavish lot of butter.
You see the calories are swimming there.
Just a touch of Parmigiano and black pepper, and the pasta is ready to be served.
Das kann man im Fall abstellen. Dann tun wir da richtig servieren, eben, gell, Sie? Bitte schön. Voilà.
Some people stay to enjoy lunch on the terrace, but we have our train to catch.
Arrivederci, Massimo. Buona giornata.
For the attention.
Ciao, Alessio. Bist fit? Immer fit.
Okay, to Ospizio Bernina, everybody is in. Now we are going.
Leaving Alp Grum, we're now only an hour from St Moritz, but the train must travel even higher. As we head to the Bernina Pass, it now enters a long, high Alpine region called Engadine. Until it finally reaches the highest railway crossing in Europe at Lake Bianco. A reservoir fed by glacial meltwater that gives it its brilliant blue color. On its shores is the station of Ospizio Bernina. It may be tiny, but it stands proud at 2,253 meters.
This is my favorite place here, because on the other side we can see the lake of the Lago Bianco. It's a really beautiful place, and it's really special here.
Moving on from Ospizio, our train starts making the long 400-meter descent to St Moritz. This train is on one of the highest adhesion railways in the world, which means to stop, it relies on the friction between the steel wheel and the steel rail. But the last thing you'd want is a train weighing hundreds of tons to lose the grip on these steep slopes. So, all trains undergo strict weekly safety inspections. Maintenance manager David and his team of 160 specialists scrutinize every nut and bolt underneath the trains, in particular, the all-important brakes.
Since we have a very strong inclination, going down 7%, we need to be sure the brake system is working properly.
Also jetzt schaue ich, ob das kein Spiel hat.
And there needs to be a certain thickness remained of the brake shoes to make sure that we are safe enough.
Once the train is given a clean bill of health, it's ready to return to service. After 2.5 hours, our mountain climbing train arrives at one of Switzerland's most famous towns, the location for not just one, but 2 Winter Olympics, St Moritz. Here we say goodbye to Natalie and the Bernina Express.
Allora, buona giornata, grazie mille.
St Moritz is a luxury alpine resort, a favorite haunt of the royals, the rich, and of course, the famous. However, underneath all this glitz and glamour lies a problem. One of the most striking features of the town is its very own leaning tower, which leans even more than that other one in Italy. The tower dates back to the 12th century, and although it's stabilized, they can't actually stop it moving.
It's definitely the most inclined tower in Europe. By 1890, the inclination of the tower was already so large that they were worried that it will fall over. The tower went through a number of stabilizations, and now the tower stands on 3 Teflon bearing pads. From time to time, we just come, we pump oil in the hydraulic jacks, and we leave the tower. It's a little bit like a jack for your car when you have a flat tire.
So why does it lean? The soil behind it is gradually creeping down the mountain, damaging the buildings in its path. The irony is that some of the most expensive houses in St Moritz are the most vulnerable. They're at the top and slipping down by a couple of inches a year. Fortunately, thanks to smart stabilizing techniques, the leaning tower is safe.
You may ask, why do we not make it straight? Because nobody wants to have a straight leaning tower, right? The same happened with the Tower of Pisa, right? Because tourists will stop coming.
It's a new day and a new train. At 9 o'clock in the morning, passengers at the busy St Moritz station are boarding the 9:15 Glacier Express to Zermatt. This beautiful train journey will take about 8 hours on a physically challenging route through the nearly 4-mile-long Albula tunnel, across viaducts, and we'll need to change engines twice at Chur and again at Disentis. En route, we'll climb past some of the highest peaks in the Swiss Alps before finally arriving in Zermatt at around 5 in the evening. The first part of the journey is, for once, downhill. Vera is in charge of this 2,300 horsepower locomotive. She's been driving the Glacier Express since 2005, but every single journey still feels special.
I probably have the best view here in front of the train. Yes, I have to check it that everyone is in, so we can start the journey. On the first few meters, I have to check the brakes again. The train would really stop. It's getting slower, then it's okay. It's good. Everything is okay.
For the first stretch of the route, the Glacier Express travels along the impressive Albula line.
On this journey, there are lots of tunnels because we are driving through the mountains. There are also a lot of viaducts.
From St Moritz, our train heads north to the upper Engadine Valley towards the Albula Alps. For the first 50 miles, we'll be dropping down 1,300 meters before arriving in Chur. Like the Bernina Express, the Glacier Express attracts visitors from around the world. Trevor, from Northern Ireland, is traveling with a group of fellow train enthusiasts.
Well, we were looking for a tour of Switzerland, and we saw the Alps by Rail tour. We're very fond of trains, and it looked like a perfect combination of seeing the scenery and having a great train journey.
The Glacier Express is in a class of its own, with its luxury carriages, each with huge glass windows and several train attendants like Andrea, who knows every inch of the route.
So now we are entering the tunnel, the Albula tunnel, and it's approximately 6 kilometers long.
Built over 100 years ago, the Albula tunnel is nearing the end of its useful life. But rather than close and refurbish it, a new tunnel is being built right next to it. Jürgen is one of the tunnel engineers in charge of construction, which is expected to be completed in 2022.
That's the old tunnel, and that's the new one. We have a small curve. Later on, they will be 30 meters apart. And but the two portals are very close.
Tunneling is a major challenge. It took 2 years to break through from both ends of the new tunnel. Nearly 250,000 cubic meters of solid rock were excavated before work on the interior could begin. The amount of water inside the tunnel at this stage looks alarming, but this, apparently, is normal.
You can have projects which are completely dry, but here water is a real problem. Water circulating in the rock, and we have the Rauwacke zone, where a lot of water is circulating, and right now we are draining this water.
Hey, habt ihr ein Problem mit den Pumpen? Was habt ihr denn hier für einen See? Ja, das wäre sinnvoll.
The men who built the old Albula tunnel at the beginning of the last century also battled with water.
We basically encounter the same quantity of water like they do. When they built the tunnel 120 years ago, they had the problem that they couldn't stop the water income, and it only stopped up after a couple of months.
Surprisingly, despite all the advances in technology in the past 100 years, in the end, the new tunnel will have taken about the same amount of time to complete as the old one.
You had roughly 1,200 people for the old tunnel, and now we have, at this point of time, we have 70 people. We are not much faster, we are not much cheaper, but we are safer and we are less people.
When the new tunnel is finished, the old one will be turned into the service tunnel and emergency exit.
And we can go in there, open the door, and we'll be in the old tunnel. The train is coming in the tunnel, and you can feel the air moving.
Every year, over 15,000 trains use the tunnel in both directions. It's not just the Glacier Express, there's commuter and cargo services too. Tunnelers are one of a kind who love their work and are proud of every meter they advance inside the dark hole that will eventually get them to the other side of the mountain.
Tunneling is a unique experience also in the sense you excavate material, and it's like landing on the moon. You excavated material and you are one of the first people standing on that spot.
After all those years of hard labor to build the old tunnel, it now only takes 5 minutes to travel through it. But at the far end, it gives way to an even more spectacular feat of engineering.
Wow, look at this.
The world-famous Landwasser viaduct.
After 35 years, it's still a special moment.
We're on Switzerland's glorious Glacier Express, an epic voyage to Zermatt in the Matter Valley, the Alpine region with the greatest concentration of high peaks in the entire 750-mile length of the Alps. We're making the quick descent into the Albula Valley, named after the river that runs through it. It's downhill for a staggering 800 meters in just half an hour.
So I hope you enjoy your journey. For the viaduct, the Landwasser viaduct, we are going to pass in 15 minutes. You will have the best view on your side.
It's a breathtaking ride as the train winds around loops, speeds through tunnels, and travels over several bridges. And the most spectacular of these bridges is the Landwasser viaduct.
Well, we're approaching the Landwasser viaduct, just coming out of Philosor. See the viaduct here?
Just as he had done with the Brusio spiral viaduct, John also campaigned to make this extraordinary stone bridge a World Heritage Site.
It's one of the best-known views of Swiss railways, or Switzerland indeed.
It was built in 1902 and amazingly only took 13 months to complete. Even more incredible, the 65-meter high pillars were constructed without the use of scaffolding. This was because the risk of flooding from the Landwasser River in the valley below was too great.
Of course, I know it's a bridge and engineers built it, but this spot is really a magical point along the line in this valley here.
At 142 meters in length, the ambitious Landwasser viaduct is the longest bridge on our route.
It is, apart from the Alp Tunnel, the largest engineering monument on this line. Nature gave only this exact spot where those two sides of the valley come close enough together to make a crossing like this at all possible. So the line for kilometers down this way and up that way is laid out exactly to join sides at this point.
Crossing from the tunnel side is particularly magical from the point of view of the driver. John knows. He did it for years.
The tunnel is in a curve. You don't see ahead. So you're going through a dark tunnel, you don't see a thing in front of you, and then suddenly you come around the curve, you see the light, and you're out in the open. After 35 years, it's still a special moment. We're always glad the track is still there.
And now, the passengers on our train can experience that thrill for themselves.
Whoa, look at this, look at the valley. That's amazing. In the back of the viaduct, right? Whoa, that is amazing. This must be one of the greatest railway journeys anywhere, yeah.
Driving across viaducts and through curved tunnels on a single track with trains going in both directions would be pretty hairy without good signals. But at the nerve center of Swiss rail, they are in total control of every inch along all lines. For France and his team, safety is paramount, and of course, the national obsession to be punctual.
We are here in the heart of the Rhine Railway, where we remote control all the signal boxes on the network. Here on the black screens is really the heart of it. Here we do remote control the signal boxes. On a mouse click, we can actually turn the switch around for them.
There are only a few places with two tracks where drivers can wait for oncoming trains to pass.
Sometimes we have to make sure the train stops completely before we give green signals to the oncoming trains.
Each of the highly trained operators look after a different stretch of the railway line.
This operator here controls St Moritz, where the Glacier Express departs. Here, this operator, she controls the Albula, with the Albula tunnel, the Landwasser viaduct, etc. If everything goes smooth, our job would be too easy. But unfortunately, there's every day something else. When we get up in the morning, we never know what's happening during the day.
And today is no exception. Even the most highly efficient systems can have complications.
Was hast du für ein Problem?
Der Strom mit dem Zermatt.
Im Bahnhof?
Ja.
Okay, he actually has now a problem with the catenary power in station Zermatt that's on the route of the Glacier Express. Without power, we can run the trains, so we get quite busy and quite nervous.
Nein, der ganze Bahnhof. Der 3 Züge rumstehen.
There are trains on the station. They should depart, but they can't. They have no power.
Keine Ahnung. Das weiß niemand.
Keine Ahnung. He has no idea what's happening. Fortunately, after a few minutes, we found the reason for it, and we could reinstall the power on the station. The trains are running again. That's what this room is for at the end of the day.
Luckily, the power outage hasn't affected our train. We're still making our steep descent into the Albula Valley. It's an exciting ride for train buffs like Revan from California.
This is probably one of the best railways I've ever been on. It's so scenic, and every single, moment, there's always a view and there's always something to look at, and it constantly never ceases to surprise me and amaze me.
They say it's the slowest express train, but the fastest 8 hours you'll ever spend. And I'm beginning to agree with that the more I'm on here. At first I thought 8 hours sounded like a bit much for a train journey, but I don't think so anymore. I'll probably be regretting when it's over.
It's 11 a.m. and we're almost 2 hours into our journey to Zermatt. The train doesn't stop for lunch. It is a restaurant on rails.
We've got beef barley and tomato lentil and potato leek with bacon chips.
As the staff are busy preparing lunch, our train pulls into Kur. At 585 meters above sea level, it is the lowest point of our journey. From here onwards, it's going to go up again, a lot. To cope with the dramatic altitude increase, our train needs a more powerful engine. While the old one is heading back to St Moritz, we're ready to continue our journey. The extraordinary differences in height are a physical challenge for the Glacier Express. Although our next stop, Disentis, is only 30 miles away, it's going to take about an hour to get there because our new engine, with its extra 900 horsepower, needs to climb 600 meters in height. That gives passengers plenty of time for gorging, on lunch, and to enjoy the stunning views of the Rhine Gorge, the Grand Canyon of Switzerland.
Bene, grazie. Molto allegre, contigo.
Smoked maple truffle from Switzerland, baked beetroots, cream cheese.
Savoring the local culinary delights in these settings is a unique experience. Teresa and Kevin have come all the way from Illinois to make this train journey.
We just always wanted to see Switzerland and take a trip through the Alps, and we thought this was a great way to do it. We're on a guided tour, and obviously being able to see everything through this train is just incredible.
This is phenomenal. I don't think you can be in a better restaurant than this.
It's 12:30 and we're arriving at the village of Disentis. Some of our passengers are getting off here to visit a very special place. The majestic Kloster Disentis, one of the oldest Benedictine monasteries in the Alps. Disentis has always drawn mountain lovers and pilgrims alike. Father Johannes often guides visitors around this magnificent place, steeped in spiritual history.
Now we have 5 minutes break.
When he can get a word in edgeways.
Now, Disentis monastery is at the source of the Rhine at an altitude of 3,600 feet. This area was essentially uninhabited when 1,400 years ago, the first groups of monks came here.
The monks follow the rules St. Benedict wrote in the 6th century. Starting at 5:30 a.m., days are structured like a Swiss train timetable, around prayers, reading, work, and formal meals.
Nowadays, we have about 20 brethren who are living in this community. In addition to that, of course, we receive still nowadays plenty of pilgrims who travel here. And then, of course, people from the Glacier Express who pass by, stay maybe for 1 hour or two, leave the train in order to visit the monastery.
Beneath the monastery are the remains of a chapel built in 640 AD by the very first generation of monks.
These excavations connect us with the founders of our monastery. So we know our forefathers worked here, they lived here, they prayed here, and they also died here.
Back at the station, our train is swapping locomotives again to cope with the upcoming challenges in terrain. This time, it's changing to a cogwheel engine. It has 4 driving axles fitted with cogs that will run on a tooth-rack rail for the rest of the journey. Without this additional grip, the train wouldn't get to Zermatt because the gradient is simply too steep. All the carriages have cogs too, which are lowered to engage with the track when needed. After leaving Disentis, we quickly start our ascent to the highest point on the Glacier Express, the Oberalp Pass at 2,033 meters above sea level. The pass is often covered in snow until June, but the train still runs all year round, even in winter when the roads are closed.
Well, there's a glacier field over there, I think, and some snow-topped Alps up here and a nice little valley down the middle, so pretty neat.
On the final leg of our glacier adventure to the iconic Matterhorn, we'll travel through Switzerland's astonishing high-altitude mountain range.
Yeah, it's incredible.
A skier's paradise in winter, and a mecca for climbers and extreme runners in the summer. We're halfway through our 8-hour journey on the Glacier Express from St Moritz to Zermatt. From Oberalp Pass, we'll travel down to Brig before starting our ascent into the Matter Valley to reach our final destination. On the way, we're traveling through the Upper Valais region, a spectacular high-altitude landscape, home to many of Switzerland's highest peaks. In the summer, Brig serves as the starting point for devoted mountaineers. It offers easy access to high mountain base camps, like here at Bellalp, where they can set off hiking or climbing. Mountain guide and passionate climber Hans Christian looks after the nearby glacier, another UNESCO World Heritage Site.
The treasure of nature is up. In the valleys, you have to go up. Lifts up your mind, lifts up your spirit, lifts even up your intellect. Growing up here in the mountains means growing up with the rocks. And the rocks are sisters, are brothers. You have to adapt to the rock. He doesn't adapt himself to you. I'm a climber. And if you're once a climber, you always stay a climber. Maybe that's my passion. It's hard to stay on a certain level, but once a week, I still want to go climb. I have to. Otherwise, my body says to me, there's something wrong with you. Down here, you can see the Glacier Express leading from St Moritz down to the valley to Brig, Visp, and to Zermatt.
Back on the train, it's the last stretch of the journey. Shortly after leaving Brig, our train starts the steep ascent into the Matter Valley. The area has been a magnet for passionate mountaineers for centuries. It's mostly thanks to the railway that once remote villages have been made easily accessible for adventurers and tourists alike. This part of Switzerland is home to an impressive 38 peaks over 4,000 meters. like the one ahead, the majestic Matterhorn.
The sights are so breathtaking, and just how massive like some of the mountains are, and just, yeah, it's incredible.
It's only a few minutes before we'll arrive at our final destination, Zermatt. For Colleen from California, it's been the small things that caught her attention along the journey.
Well, my favorite part is the wildflowers. When I asked what was a good time of the year to come, either come early, see a lot of snow, but they said in July, which seems late for us, is when the wildflowers are blooming. So starting at the beginning of our trip and coming through, we just see wildflowers in bloom everywhere.
It's 5:15, and after 8 hours of train journey, the Glacier Express pulls into Zermatt station. A trip none of our passengers will forget. It's been a truly awe-inspiring journey, but this is not the end of the line if you really have a head for heights. Overlooking the picturesque town at the end of the Matter Valley is the stunning Matterhorn. And enthusiastic hikers, climbers, and runners can get even closer to this iconic mountain. But this involves one more short train journey on the Gornergrat Railway. Our Glacier Express attendant, Manuel, is a regular passenger on the 30-minute-long ride.
This railway is very special because it's taking people up to the mountain from 120 years.
The rack rail climbs an additional 1,400 meters with an exceptionally steep 20% gradient. It takes us to Gornergrat, Europe's second highest train station, for an even better view of the Matterhorn. For some, the peace and quiet up here and the outstanding views of one of the most majestic mountains on Earth is a spiritual experience.
I love this place, I love this view. I love to be here because here I have my peace, I have all the space I need to be like a bird, to be free.